Josh with 7 Blinds. Thanks for coming, man.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely, dude. So, like we were saying earlier, this is just conversation. Let's get into your business, talk about how great you guys are. So, why don't you just start with a little introduction on you, your business, how you got here, where you were at before, just all the details of, everything that customer and potential customers might want to know.
Yeah. So make a long story really short because
Yeah.
that's a long story. But
we got some time.
Essentially went to school to be a K-6 teacher. Thought that's what I wanted to do my whole entire life. From the time I was in second grade on, had parents try to talk me out of it. Went ahead with that anyways. Ended up going to school for that. Getting my degree for that. And one of the biggest reasons why I was diagnosed with severe ADHD when I was in first grade. I was on Adderall and Ritalin from first grade to sophomore year of high school, and then finally realized, this really isn't, something I want to attach myself to the rest of my life. Ended up flushing all those pills down the drain. But
Nice.
As part of that, I had a second grade teacher that, she kind of was on that same spectrum, and instead of letting me do things to get myself in trouble, she found ways to make sure I was always entertained, do brain teasers, something that where I wasn't going to be picking other kids and getting in trouble, going to principal, sitting at recess, those kind of things. And it made a huge impact on me. I was like, this is a way for me to give back and make an impact on other people's lives, right? You're going to touch more people being a teacher than anything else.
Yeah.
Because you got kids coming in every year. And then, I was a quarter away from graduating, saw some things going on in the school systems that I really didn't like. Saw what my paycheck was going to be. Obviously, that played a little bit of a role into it, but smaller side. But yeah, money was important, and realized, this isn't what I think I want to do with my life. So talked to someone, corporate America, that I knew and trusted. He said, "Josh, you're good at talking to people. Go into sales." So I did corporate sales for about 5 years between a couple different companies, Comdata being one. Dell being my longest, and I was there for about 3.5 years selling to Metro DC, and then jumped at an opportunity from there to go work for a local company here in Nashville. Was there for 2 months and morally felt, like I cannot work for these people. But, jumped not without really checking it out. I jumped because of the money. Saw a 6-figure payday, guaranteed money. Said, yeah, I'm going to do this. And then got there, and when there's things going on in that office, the way they treated clients, the way they treated us, it just felt like, that wasn't the right place for me to be. And so kind of how I got involved in this, I've known the original owners of 7 Blinds since about 2008. They owned this company for 40 years. And in 2021, they were in the process of selling it. They were selling it to my best friend's mom. The company I was working for was a marketing company of sorts. So they were going to come to do some marketing work with us. I called her up, said, hey, I'm not going to be working here anymore. You've always asked me to work for you. I've always told you can't pay me enough money, but I feel like God's trying to tell me, you chase this job for money. Money's not the only important thing in life. So I said, whatever you can pay me, I'll take. She said, I can give you $15 an hour. And I was like, ooh, that's not what I was expecting. But, it felt again like that's where, I was being led. So I took that offer. Went to work for her for a little over a year, from about May of 21 to July of 22 whenever I bought the business. Did not see this as my career path forward. Thought this was kind of be a short stop, go somewhere else, or find a way to basically manage more of her things as she grew into other avenues. But we found out we were having our first kid, and all of a sudden money was important again. Still not the most important thing in life, but more important. And so went and talked to her. I said, hey, heard you might be looking to sell this. Is there any shot that you would sell it to me? And if so, what would that price be? And she said, Josh, you worked for me pennies on the dollar for the last year. If you'll just pay me what I paid for it and what I put into it, you can have it. And we had tripled the size of the business in 1 year. She definitely could have got way more money, but I feel like that was really sweet because God kind of came back in on the back end and blessed me having faith and working for, 30% of what I was making before. And so took over in July of 22 and have run it for almost 2 years now. Seen incredible growth, got to meet a lot of really cool people, a lot of networking, a lot of, getting out of my comfort zone. And, the goal really for us, the one thing that we did not change at all along this process of it being bought and sold twice across there, right? We rebranded a little bit. We've redone our website. We've added on different things, but the one thing that's always stayed the same is our mission statement. So in the Bible, 7 is the perfect number, and that's how I want your experience to be from start to finish. From the first time you meet us, that first phone call, the first time walking your door, to the last time you see us, and even after that, right? So we only sell product that has lifetime warranty on it, or 10-year warranty on motors, but outside of that, pretty much everything else is lifetime warranty on it, so you know that you're taken care of when you work for us. And our points for you. So 7.0, the point is for you. You're the reason why we do what we do, and without you, there's no point in doing this. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
I was wondering about the background and the history of the name.
Yeah.
It's super cool. The logo's awesome. It sounds great, but that's the background of it makes it even more important.
Yeah.
Talk to me about. I really like what you said because about you worked for pennies on the dollar for years. You felt you were being pushed in this direction. You felt like this is where you needed to be. And most people would say, for $15 an hour, I can't do that, right?
Right.
To your credit, and there's a question coming out of this, but I'll preface it with, they did a study on like the most successful people in the world, right? So billionaires, and trying to figure out what the common aspect amongst them is, right? It's not they wake up at 5 a.m., it's not they eat healthy, it's not they work out. You've got billionaires that wake up at 10 a.m., some that wake up at 4.
Yeah.
You've got some that eat healthy, some that don't, right? So it's not those things that you hear these like internet people talking about. What they found was it was 3 things. It was the first one was they had basically inferiority complex. It was like, I'm never going to be good enough, and like that's kind of what kind of drove them a lot of times. Yeah. The other one was it's kind of a juxtaposition because it couples with the inferiority, which is basically give me the ball, I'm the only one that can do it, right? Pass me the ball, I'll take the shot.
Yeah.
And then the third one was their ability to delay gratification. So how long could you talk in, and how long could you think and work in time periods before you saw that success, right? So it's like millionaires were able to say, hey, I'm doing this now today because in 1 year, 2 years, that's when I'll see the success.
Right.
Billionaires say, I'm doing this today because in 20, 30 years, that's when we'll see the big payout.
Right.
So that's exactly what you did. You saw an opportunity where you knew it's not right here and right now, but it might be a year, it might be 2 years, it might be 3 years, and now you're reaping the benefits of that.
Right.
Which is a really, really hard thing to do. So talk to me about when you were in that time frame of like that grinding at $15 an hour.
Yeah.
You're at home, and your wife's like, what are you doing?
Yeah, pretty much.
It's like talked about that. How difficult was that for you guys as a family, as personally, whatever?
Yeah, so it's never easy. Like I said, I mean, I went from making 6 figures to making, I think $15 an hour. I think I was making 20 at the end, but all in, I think I made about 40. So at least a 60% pay cut when you count in, bonuses and that kind of stuff. More than that, it was not an easy decision. But I did feel like I had chased the dollar every single step of the way, and even with making all of that money, it's not like I was throwing all this money back or making a better life for myself.
Right.
I just was kind of young and stupid, and spending the money that I got, going on nice vacations and doing all that. And whenever I saw this, I was like, well, 1, this is a good way for us to kind of reset. 2, it was a good shot for, me to really take a step back and reevaluate, what I'm going to do with my life. Because like I said, I wanted to be a teacher, and then someone was like, hey, go do sales.
Yeah.
I didn't want to do sales.
Totally different.
I was just kind of thrust into that, and I was good at it,
right.
But it wasn't what I wanted to do. So it kind of gave me a second to reset and be like, all right, what do I actually want to do with my life? Is this what I want to do, or am I going to go find something else to do?
Right.
So yeah, it delayed everything. Whenever we went to go buy the business, I think the biggest point of that was really seeing the future of what this could be. And I think that was, not even started by me, but by the lady who I bought it from, the lady who owned it in the middle. She saw what this could be before I could see what it could be.
Oh, cool.
And she brought me on to basically run everything for her. She wasn't a super present owner. She had her hand in a lot of different things. So she always had something she needed to do. So most of the day-to-day stuff fell on me, and making sure that I was keeping up with our install teams, making sure I was keeping up with our sales teams, making sure that I was keeping up with all of our phone calls and all this stuff. So there was a lot of it, like you were saying, that fell back on me.
Right.
So I already kind of knew that the responsibilities that came along with it. It's like I got to own a company for a year before owning a company.
That's what I was about to say. That's incredible.
Which was really cool. So it gave me an idea of, hey, if we change X, Y, and Z, what can we do?
Right.
And so we took in a lot of different systems, processes, things that I learned in corporate America. So it's really cool how like it's all full circle. Every stop of the way, every job that I had, I picked up something from a manager, picked up something from my role, picked up something from the sales cycle that said, hey, if I implement these things in this business, what can we do with it?
Yeah, nice.
And so historically, this company did about $300,000 a year.
No
And
kidding.
COVID, it did $500,000 because everybody was sitting at home. They all got stimulus
Staring out the
checks.
windows.
You know, I've got to look at what's in my house and let's make it look nicer.
Yeah.
So that was a bump year. The next year, we did over 900. The next year, we did 1.2. Last year was a lull, but the whole industry tanked last year.
Yeah.
So, but we still did 800 something. So,
Nice.
like when you sit there and say, all right, this is what this business can be, and I know, you know, right now, one, I've got a huge loan I've got to pay off.
Yeah.
So that's part of it. There's no instant gratification from this.
Yeah.
But I know what this can be down the road
Yep.
for myself, for my family, for my head installer specifically. You know, I've got other people who work with me, but my head installer is really the reason outside of me that this thing runs as well as it does.
Nice.
Because I couldn't ask for a better number two, a better VP, whatever you want to call him. Like, he is honest, he is responsible, he's personable, he's quiet when he needs to be. He's the guy that you, in a service-based industry, you have to have somebody like that you would trust going into somebody else's home without you being there. Same way that you would trust them going into your home without you being there and know that everything's going to be okay.
Crucial, man.
So
What's his name?
His name's Austin.
Where'd you find Austin?
So Austin was actually with the company before I joined. So he's been here longer than I have. He's been doing this for about 7 years now, something like that. And he trained under the original owner. So the guy who had 40 years of experience doing this, he got to learn everything from him.
Oh, nice.
You know, I got to take bits and pieces from him and his wife while, you know, I was in the office managing it. But he got to day in and day out go out and be with that guy.
Yeah.
And learn how to do everything and the most, you know, as perfect you can get it, right? Nothing's ever perfect.
Yeah.
We're not perfect, you know, nothing's ever going to be perfect, but you're going to try to get there as close as you possibly can to get to that. So he got trained by an amazing man named Fred. Fred Fitzgerald was the owner of the company to start off. And, you know, we had a scare. I thought I was going to lose Austin. So we had about 6 or 7 months after I bought the business, we were working. I had 2 different people in the same week tell me, you know, hey, I heard Austin might be, you know, going to look into lawn care. And I was like, no, he's not. And I asked him about it after the first time, gave him a nice commission check. I was like, hey, you know, you're doing a lot of this by yourself right now. I really appreciate all your hard work. That was on a Monday. On Friday, I heard it again. I was like, hey, man, you know,
just shoot me straight.
Shoot me straight. I'm not gonna be upset if you lied to me. Like, I understand things happen, you know, and you're probably scared. You're young. Like, he's younger than I am. But I was like, you know, he goes, yeah, you know, I was told not to say anything. I'm not leaving anytime soon. I've got like a 2-year timeline to get out of here. Right. And so we go on. I'm like, all right, I'm going to go out on all your installs now. I'm going to make sure I'm absolutely present for everything. I need to learn how to do this side of things so that, you know, you can help train somebody for a little bit, and then what you haven't gotten to, I can help you learn.
Train them, yeah.
And we went and we did this job in Alabama for a designer, and it was like 30 rods. We left home at like 5 o'clock in the morning, got back at like 9 o'clock at night. But he got the whole entire job done in one day by himself, with me just being the helper, like throwing rings on, you know, rods and like helping hang drapery at the end. But he officially hung everything, plus pictures, plus all this other stuff. We got back from that trip, and you know, I called my parents. They're the ones who gave me the loan. No bank would touch us because we were net negative. That's a whole nother story. On purpose. The other owner was very intelligent in her business savviness. So. But no bank would touch. So I called my mom. I'm like, hey, I can't lose this guy. And I know that we've talked about profit sharing. We've talked about all this stuff for you and me and how this is going to look, but we can't lose him.
Yeah.
So, and I said, you know, money talks. So I said, hey, can I take him out to dinner and just make him an offer? And they go, yeah, whatever you think you need to do, we'll do it. So I took him out to dinner and I said, hey, Austin, you know, here's the deal. I love having you around. can you tell me the biggest reason why you want to leave? And he goes, well, like, no, I don't really want to do lawn care, but I'd like to have something of my own. Like, I want to own my own business. I want to, have more responsibility, be able to kind of control some things a little bit. And I said, look, here's what I'll offer you. I said, right now, because I know money talks in the media, like, I can't offer you more until the loan gets paid off, any ownership or anything like that. But I said, I'll give you a 50% pay increase right now. Or no, not a doubled his pay right then. And I said, I'll give you 3 weeks of paid vacation time off. You're going to be fully salaried. And then you'll get the opportunity to buy into up to 15% of the company. Like, nice. Yes, you're going to have to pay for that. And yes, that cost is not going to be cheap. So make sure that you're saving up your money now. You're getting paid a lot more, so start saving some of that. But came to a great agreement, and it's been smooth sailing. Like I said, I couldn't ask for a better partner.
Oh, that's awesome, dude.
Yeah.
Well, the big lesson there is, I think what I've seen business owners mess up, which is when you find somebody that is like Austin.
Yeah.
You should basically do everything you possibly can to make sure they're going to grow with the company.
Absolutely.
And to make sure that they stay with the company. Because if, key employees, if they leave, it's a drain on the business. And sometimes it can kill a business, especially a small business.
Yeah.
And then I love the equity side of it, man. Yeah. We've done similar, like, profit sharing stuff. And it's just a unique way to make sure people feel like they're, in it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And most of the time, the idea of owning a business is better than actually owning a business.
Oh, absolutely.
And, like, he's going to get the best of both worlds, which is
right.
Like, he'll have an opportunity to get some equity. He can make some money in distributions in the future. If the sale happens, he'll make some money there. And then he doesn't have to really do a lot of the business owner stuff, right?
Right.
His name's not on the loan.
Right.
Right. It's not his house they're coming for.
Yeah.
Best of both worlds. So this is a good time to talk about if a customer finds you on our platform, day of, you coming out there, is it Austin? Is it you? What's like the process? What should they expect?
Yeah. So an initial estimate is always going to be me.
Okay.
So I'm normally your first point of contact. Trying to keep it that way right now. One is as we try to grow and scale. I want to kind of keep my pulse on everything. I'm getting to learn every single time I go out too. I get to learn as much. I mean, hopefully you're learning more from me about your products and services, which as it should be. But right. I get to learn from each sale and each job. Every window's different, every job's different, every product's different. We get to go out and we get to talk about all these different things. So normally how that's going to look, I'm going to come up to your door. I'm going to have a ladder. I'm going to have a tape measure, and I'm going to have a laptop.
Okay.
I'm going to come in, I'm going to ask you to show me your windows, show me where we're looking at, ask you if you have any sort of, understanding of what you're looking to get. Right? Are you looking to get blinds? Are you looking to get shutters, roller shades, solar shades, cellular shades, draperies? Because it's hard for me to go in there and just, start measuring for something if I don't really know what we're talking about, right? And then we'll kind of talk about that, and if you ask me for, sometimes people know what they want. Sometimes people have no idea what they want.
Right.
So we do have things in our back pocket. I can tell you right now, like in Nashville, your most popular window treatments are going to be roller shades, shutters, and draperies. We do blinds. Yeah, we do some of those other things. But those are your big three.
Gotcha.
And for various reasons, right? For light control options, for the beauty of it, we are in higher end areas too. So, those kind of people who have that kind of money want to spend the money on nice tall draperies to make their rooms look bigger. And
right.
Shutters have the curb appeal, and shutters have no taxes, like they're a permanent fixture of home. Like there's different ways to talk about each product and figure out which one's going to be the best fit for you.
Right.
It's like I had a client, and I'll get back to where we were at, but I had a client in Franklin who wanted me to come out and quote them for blinds and for shutters. They're like, I think that shutters are going to be way too expensive for me. And I was like, well, we'll have to see, right? Yeah. So I come out, and I just signed up with a new vendor in Memphis to do our shutters. It's someone who worked for Norman, who's the biggest shutter manufacturer in the world for 20 years. Then he went to Graver, who's another mega player in that space, set up their shutter program down in Mexico, and did that for 15 years. And then he's like, look, I can do this more cost effective for people. I can do this better for people. I can give more frame options, better color options, basically just all around a better experience.
Oh,
and
wow.
he actually drives the trucks up to us. So before I was, charging people like $40, $45 a square foot for a shutter. which is crazy, especially when you have somebody like Acadia here in Nashville who's, showing $28, $29 a square foot installed.
Right.
Now, no, theirs aren't as customizable as ours, but hey, that's
Double
to
the
me,
price.
you double the price. I would go with them. I don't care
Right.
if the frames aren't customizable.
Right.
But this guy comes in, I'm like, I can do everything fully customized at $32 a square foot. And we can match the paint to your trim, and we can do all this stuff. And it doesn't have taxes on it.
You're like,
and so we measure this whole entire house for blinds and for shutters. The cost difference ends up being like
$4 a square foot.
Yeah, it was nothing.
Yeah.
For a whole house of shutters, you're talking like it was like $1,200 different.
Right.
Yeah, she got the nicer window treatment
Right.
and made it all work. So, but anyways, to circle back to kind of so I come in, tape measure, ladder, laptop. We talk about everything. Then I'm going to go out to the truck, go get sample books, bring those into you. I'm going to, kind of explain some different options that you have there. I'm going to leave you with the sample books. I'm going to go around and start measuring your windows, give you some time by yourself to look at it so you don't feel like I'm sitting there hovering.
Right.
Then after I measure, I'm going to come back. We're going to talk about, be like, hey, did you pick anything else? Pick anything out? And if you have, great. Now we move on to the next step. If you haven't, maybe you sit in there and you're like, hey, I've got these 4 roller shades. Don't know, which one I really love. So we'll take them to the window. We play my favorite game is this or that, right? It's the easiest way to narrow something down. I'm going to hold them both up in the window.
Oh, nice.
You're going to tell me which one you like better.
Yeah.
We're going to get rid of the other one.
Nice.
Then we're going to go to the next one.
You're like an eye doctor.
Yeah. I mean, it's
clear.
Yeah. And, not saying that's the best way to do it, but I've never had it not work.
Right.
And I've never had a customer not be happy at the end with what they ended up picking.
They've basically already seen their product. They chose it out against other products.
Right.
Nice.
And so at that point, then obviously your client's free to go about their day. I'm going to sit there. I'm actually going to quote for you on site. That way you have your price, you have everything. If you're ready to move forward, that obviously helps with your lead times because we can just go ahead and get it done then.
Yeah.
If not, at least you have a price there and you can tell me, hey, Josh, maybe it's way more than I thought it was going to be. Can we pick out something else? Well, I'm still at your house.
Right.
Yeah, we have time to sit there and pick out something else.
You'll work with them
or
based on
maybe,
what their budget would be.
Maybe it's like, oh, I thought these were going to be way more expensive. Like, yeah, give me that next step up product that we talked about because that's in my budget.
Yeah.
So it's a good way to kind of, do that. Then from there, obviously if the job is sold there, I'm going to go ahead and get that order placed while I'm sitting there. Get that moving. Most of the time, lead times, range anywhere from 3 to 6 weeks. Most of the time, you're really at that 3.5, 4. And then we do payment a couple of different ways. So obviously, nobody likes paying processing fees, right?
Yeah.
That's the worst part of every business. So I tell people, I'm like, look, your product cost is more than 50%. It always will be. But if you're doing, if you're going to pay me with a check, I don't have to pay those processing fees. I'm going to float that money. That whatever over 50% that product cost is, I'm just going to float that until your job gets finished.
Nice.
Now, if you're going to pay me with a credit card, yeah, I've got to cover my butt a little bit. I've got to make sure my product's paid for. I got to make sure my processing fees are paid for because all of that gets charged up front. So I do 75. So it's 75-25 or 50-50 depending on how you pay.
Gotcha.
And then, like I said, basically from there, then, obviously the order's placed. We're just waiting on that to get in. If there are any delays or anything like that, I'll let you know. But most of the time there's not. And then as soon as I get product in hand, I reach out to you and I say, hey, we got your stuff. When's a good time in the next week? I've got some times X, Y, and Z these days. When works for you? Like I can't do anything about manufacturing, right? Once it's out of my hands, it's out of my hands. I can't do anything about shipping. That's also out of my hands. But what I can say is, once I get that product in my hands and we make sure we got everything, within a week I'm gonna have that installed for you, which is something that not a lot of people can say.
Right.
So just we try to make the end user experience, like I said, as perfect as it can be.
Yeah.
But there's always hiccups and things happen, but for the most part we try to mitigate those the best that we can.
So if everything goes smoothly and let's say they pick out and pay the day you're out there for your estimate, 2-week process, start to finish?
Yeah, shouldn't be bad. So, lead times, what you have to think is there's a lead time to manufacture the product. So, lead time to manufacture product can be anywhere. I've seen it be as low as 4 days on some things, and I've seen it be as high as 30 days on other products. Yeah. So, really, and while I'm there, we will look at the lead time. So, I will tell you, hey, as of right now, There's no, no delays on parts or anything else. Your scheduled lead time on this is 10 days in factory. That's 10 days in factory. That's not 10 days total. So that's 10 business days.
And then shipping.
And then shipping. So you got 1 week, 2 week. Now you have shipping. Shipping's probably going to take somewhere between 3 and 5 days, depending on your product. Is it a huge product where it has to come freight, or is it small enough to fit on a FedEx truck? Now we do have, I think it's 2-day shipping on everything that comes through FedEx with all of our vendors. We're platinum dealers or preferred with every single one of our vendors. So that's nice. It gives us a little bit of a perk. But yeah, I'd say most of the time we're looking at about 3.5, 4 weeks is kind of your standard, once everything's done. So about a month.
Nice.
And then from there, we do offer, we do a 1-year service warranty through us on your product.
Nice.
So, right, if we're selling you this product, we need to stand behind that product. It's not just something where, hey, if it comes back and, 2 weeks later something's frayed or something, they made a mistake in manufacturing, I need to hold up with my end, right? You just paid me to do a service for you, and it's not wipe my hands and be done. That's not 7 perfect experience, right? Even after. That's why it's even after we walk out of your door. We want you to have a perfect experience. So we are talking through doing some other warranty program kind of stuff where, you could basically get a 1-year warranty, or not a 1 year, a 3 year, a 5 year, and a lifetime, or a 5 year, a 10 year, and a lifetime on top of what we're already offering, just because your product already has a lifetime warranty on it.
Right.
So, yes, you'd be paying a little bit more up front to get that.
But if anything happens.
But if anything happens, you don't have to worry about, well, hey, 6 years down the road, something went wrong, and now I've got to have, Josh has got to come out. That's a trip charge for him to come out and check it out. And then it's another trip charge whenever we come back and, to go reinstall it. Like, we do have to make some money. Yeah. Obviously, I would love to not have to charge anybody to do any of that extra stuff.
You got to.
But you have to.
Yeah. That's what we were talking about the other day, is like profit, it gets a bad rap because I don't know why, but the thing that customers sometimes don't seem to understand is the more profit a business makes, the better overall experience and product you're going to have. Absolutely. Because that money is going straight back into R&D, or straight back into training people, or straight back into paying the best employees more, or straight back into getting better vendor contracts and having better delivery times, and all those things just are put back into the business to make sure it's ran better and more efficiently, and gives the product and the experience a better overall feeling and higher quality to the homeowner. So yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong with trying to make some money. I think actually is the best thing you can do for the customer.
Well, you have to think too, at the end of the day, money is the number one driving force for people, right?
Yeah.
You go with the money. Like mine was a little bit different story, but up until that point, I did chase that dollar everywhere. Yeah. And today, with the way everything is, you can go make $18, $20 an hour working at McDonald's.
Yeah.
So how hard do you think it is for us to find good employees to come in and work? Because if they can go make $18, $20 an hour at McDonald's, where are they going to come work for anything less than that? You know, and
do harder work.
Right, and do harder work.
Yeah.
This isn't easy. If it were easy, everybody would do it.
Yeah.
If it were easy, you wouldn't be paying me to come into your house to do it.
Right.
You can do it yourself. And that's what a lot of people, don't really understand. Or maybe they do understand, but even myself sometimes, I sit there and I look at things in my house and I'm like, oh, I'll get to that eventually. Like, I can do that. I can learn how to do that.
Big time.
I'm not going to pay somebody to come and fix that hole in the wall. I can patch that and do that myself. Mm-hmm. Is it going to look as good when I'm done? Absolutely not.
It's going to sit there for weeks.
Yeah.
Until you get to it.
It's like we painted our house when we bought our house. I had some buddies over and I was like, hey, we're going to pay, thank you for coming to help. Bought beer for everybody, bought pizza for everybody. I will never, ever, ever do that again.
You painted the outside?
Life. No, just the inside.
Yeah.
I would not have tried to tackle the outside, but I was like, inside, that's not that hard. We can do that.
Dude,
there is paint on the ceilings. There is paint on the trim. And, you can't go back and fix that without having a legit painter come in.
Yeah.
But instead, I spent, $3,000 on paint and materials and all this other stuff, and I probably could have paid somebody $6,000 to come in and paint it all, and it would have been perfect, and I wouldn't have to have any,
That's exactly right.
Look at all these flaws that are in my walls.
That's
right,
dude. Yeah, that's exactly right, man. I think something unique about y'all's business is, I feel like if a homeowner says, man, I really want to do something with my windows, they don't know who to call, right? It's like, it's not like cut and dry. Like, I have a pool and it needs to be cleaned. I know who to call, right? Or like,
Right.
you know, I need to paint. Like, I'll painter. It's like, I want shutters. Is there a such thing as a shutter company? Is that just a handyman thing? So talk through what all y'all's services are and kind of what y'all's bread and butter is. So that way the customer has an idea of, you know, if this happens, I know I can call. So
Yeah. So we're full service window treatment. So anything that goes on the inside of a window, we're gonna do that. So
Gotcha.
your main products there, they're blinds, faux wood, real wood. You got roller shades and solar shades. You got cellular shades. You have Roman shades. You have shutters. You have draperies. You have silhouettes, pirouettes. All the Hunter Douglas has a ton of different, you know, cool products that do things that nobody else's do. A lot of stuff is patented. Nobody else has, you know, nobody else has the rights to go and sell those kind of things except for Hunter Douglas. So we do have access to Hunter Douglas. We carry all major vendors. So we've got Hunter Douglas, Alta, Graver, Norman, Comfortex, and then we do our shutters primarily through Mid-South Window Fashions down in Memphis. We do text-on exterior like zipper track shades. So if you want a screened in porch that you can press a button and they're going to go up and down so it's not always screened in, we do that.
Oh, that's sick.
I do have a good contact for exterior wood shutters. It's not my specialty, but he actually does build them all to spec how you want them built.
Very cool.
He does that, you know, a couple hours away from here. A little bit longer lead time, right? When you're working with real wood, trying to, you know, do that, you do have to sand stuff down and you do have to make sure it's all perfect.
Yep.
So it does take a little bit longer, but he's a great dude and runs a great business.
Nice.
So we do have all those facets. Then we also do just install only. So if you go to the store and you're like, hey, I'm going to go to Pottery Barn, I'm going to buy these rods, I'm going to buy these drapes, but I don't want to hang them. Right?
Nice.
I want a professional to do that.
Yeah.
We'll come out and do that.
That's super valuable.
Yeah.
I despise hanging curtains.
Yeah, it's awful.
Yeah.
That's why I don't do it. I'll hang anything that we do except for curtains.
It sucks,
that's Austin's job, or
nice.
the other installer's job. I'm not going to touch
Oh, my gosh. Yeah, dude. We've moved so many times and I've hung so many curtains.
Yeah.
And, dude, the first couple I did obviously didn't use like the right hardware. Didn't have a drywall, you know, anchors in there.
Yep.
And 6 months later, it's like hanging on the wall. And you're just like,
Right. Well, you never know what you're going to run into behind there. Are you going to hit wood? Are you are you using a stud finder and finding the stud? If not, do you have
the right
anchor?
Dude, that's
right?
huge too.
It's not just throw an anchor in.
Right.
Like we use the best of the best anchors.
Nice.
We use anchors that I think are tested for I think 150 pounds.
Nice.
So pretty much anything that you're hanging on the wall should be less than 150
pounds. As long as your
pounds.
kid's not climbing on it.
Now, there are times where things do fall out of the wall, right? If it falls out of the wall, we're going to come back out and get that fixed. Now, that's few and far between. Most of the time, that has something to do with the drywall, and our anchors does not work for super thin drywall. So we had a spell for a minute where it was like 3 or 4 houses in a row, all by the same builder. The one common denominator is the same drywall was in all of those houses.
Dude.
And it was like one...
Like the 1/4 inch drywall or whatever?
Yeah, like it was like a week from hell, man.
Yeah.
Like it was like every day it's getting a call, hey, this is falling out, this is falling out. Well, we switched the anchors, we didn't have the issue anymore.
Right.
But then also you have to, like, are you going into brick? Are you going into concrete? Are you going into metal? Like, you have to have different anchors for all of those.
Right.
Different screws for all of those. And then, you know, when you're measuring for these draperies, like, you know, blinds are pretty simple, right? I feel like most people can go inside their house, you know, pop in the brackets, throw up the blind, move on. It's not that hard. You know, we don't get a ton of requests for people to, you know, have us hang that. But when you're talking about draperies, you literally have to sit there and say, hey, I want these draperies kissing my floor.
Right.
I want them right there. I don't really want to see a light gap in between. You know, for us to get that measurement right, we have to take the rod, take the rings, measure your ring drop. Be like, all right, now we have to, you know, you have to mess with pins sometimes, but just making sure that whenever we get that rod hung, it's exactly where you want it.
Right.
Whether that is kissing the floor, you want it puddled where it's hanging on the floor a little bit, you want it ½ inch off the floor. You want them to be windowsill level. Like, you got people who want them literally like, you know, I just want them coming down to my windowsill.
Right.
Now I need them kissing that windowsill.
Yeah.
You know?
There's a lot of measurements and perfection that goes into it.
And floors aren't level. Ceilings aren't level. Windows aren't level. I'd love to say that they are. I'd love to say they're all square. It's not.
Yeah.
So then that's, you know, hey, we've got to move this pin and this pin and this pin. The rest of them are all fine, but these 3 need to change so that it looks right
Because
on
the floor is off a little bit. Okay, so we got services. You've mentioned it a couple times, but just to put it in like a nice, concise way, what's the biggest like differentiator for you guys? I mean, I know we talked about kind of prices and stuff like that. What do you think is the number one reason why customers should go with you guys instead of a competitor?
Uh, I mean, it's kind of really simple and might sound a little stupid, but once you work with us, it's like your family,
Yeah,
right? Like I would do anything for my family.
yeah,
I'll drop things. We've got a review on Google where it's like somebody called me, they were missing a charger. Well, I had a spare charger in my truck. I took it out to them within an hour so they could charge their shade. Left it with them. Said, hey, it's fine. It's going to cost me, not that much money.
right.
Here, just take it.
Yeah.
I would do that for my family.
Mm-hmm.
And I do think that sets you apart because a lot of people, look at businesses, it's just business. It's strictly business.
Yeah.
I'm going to come in, I'm going to get my check, I'm going to do the work, I'm going to get my second check, and I'm going to be out.
Right.
If you need something on the back end, everybody's got my cell phone number.
Yeah.
I think that's another differentiator. A lot of business owners don't want you to have their cell phone. They don't want to be getting calls 8, 9, 10 o'clock at night. I don't really want that either, but I'm going to give you my cell phone number so you know, hey, I have a way to get a hold of Josh specifically, not just call into his company and hope that I can get a hold of him through the loop around.
Yep.
You can text me, you can call me, everybody has access.
Yeah.
And then, I think another thing that really sets us apart is that I don't have any, like minimum size job or maximum size job, right? We can do anything and everything. And I feel like we're doing a disservice. I was talking to somebody about this yesterday. I was like, I feel like we're doing a disservice to people if we set ourselves up and we say, hey, I'm only servicing these areas because these are the good areas. This is where the wealthy people live. That's where I want to be.
Right.
I don't want to deal with these other people.
Right.
No. We're here to work for everybody.
Yeah.
Jesus would have worked with everybody.
Right.
Like we're a very religious company.
Yeah.
So if that's not your cup of tea, we're probably not the company for you.
That's
But
fine, yeah.
but at the same time, we try to live our lives and do our work the way that Jesus would have done it.
Nice.
Jesus was a handyman. He did all of his work with his hands.
Yeah.
Like we try to do these things the same way. And yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of things that I could say that I think are differentiators, but at the end of the day, I think that the family aspect of it really is probably the most important part.
Yeah. How have you guys kept that through scaling? Because that's the challenge, right? You can do that at first, and then because you have goals to scale and grow the company, obviously.
Right.
How are you planning on maintaining that? Because I think that's people's first criticism of that is like, well, right now, but when you're doing 10 times the volume,
right,
it's not going to be the same way.
So I'd say a couple things. One, it's hiring the right people and making sure you have the right people in the right
Agreed,
roles.
man.
Right. We're never going to hire somebody to be a 1099 employee to come in and only do work for us for part-time.
They might not have your cell phone number when you're doing 10 million in business, but they're going to have somebody that is just as helpful and just as equivalent to you because you're hiring the right people.
Correct.
Exactly. Right.
It's always going to be hiring the right people. And on the flip side of that, right, I think it goes back to that perfect and complete. Right. At the end of the day, when we leave your house, most of the time you're not going to call us back.
Right.
Like if you do call us back, that means there's an issue. We're going to get that taken care of as soon as we possibly can.
Yeah.
But most of the time we're not getting calls back from these same people. The only people you really get calls back from are designers, or if somebody has moved and they want to get something new, or hey, we're going to do a couple more windows.
Nice.
If not, it's not normally a great
That's a good
call.
callback.
It's a good callback.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's hey, something broke.
Right.
Hey, whatever. And the nice thing is, really all that is a text or email to us. We take that picture that you're going to send us of your product or a video if it's a motorized, whatever, it's not working correctly. We're going to take that video or that picture, we're going to send it into customer service for our vendors. Like I said, we're platinum preferred with every single one of them. That's all we have to do and say, hey, here's the picture, this is the issue, this was the order number, I need a new product. And within a couple days, remakes come out a lot quicker. Within a couple days, I should say it that way. Sometimes that doesn't always work out, but normally remakes do come in quicker. And then as soon as we get product in hand, it's the same cycle as the beginning, right? As soon as I get product in hand, I'm going to give you a call. We're going to get out to your house as soon as we can.
Nice, man. That's awesome. Anything else that you want to kind of directly let the customer know about either y'all's industry or competitors or you as a business that you haven't kind of already addressed? A good example is like, I wish Adroit's customers, when you're talking about an insurance loss, would understand time is of the essence, right?
Right.
As soon as it happens, it's better if you call us, we get the process started, we get equipment in. The reason being is we can save your house and your property and not have to demo and tear it out and rebuild it, right? So like that's one thing I wish all of our customers knew is time is not on your side. It's better if you call us right away. Is there something like that in your industry where you're like, man, I wish customers just knew this one thing?
Well, I think there's a couple things. One of them, I mean, I'll even tell on myself before, like right after I had joined this business, I was like, hey, I get vendor pricing. I'm going to put some new stuff in my house, right?
Yeah.
So I put motorized shades every room in my house.
Nice.
And I walked around and I was like, all right, these are bedrooms. I need blackout shades. That's the movie room. It needs blackout shades.
Yeah.
Oh, we're remodeling the whole downstairs. We're finally going to have a TV down here that we didn't have before. This is where we're going to throw parties and all that. Probably should put blackout shades down here too.
Yeah.
Got blackout shades in every single room in my house.
So just do blackout shades?
No, do not.
Oh, what?
It's a bad play.
No kidding.
I don't have the money to go. I mean, I could go back and do it, but I have better things to spend my money on right now.
Yeah.
I've got a baby and a baby on the way, right?
Yeah.
They take up a lot of my money.
Yeah.
But if I go back, you don't need to put blackout shades in every single room. Your shades don't need to match in every single room. So all my shades match. They're all the same exact color, and they're all blackout shades. I would go back. I would pick things that would match the room. Now I've got a little bit better designer eye. I would pick things that would match the room. And in the rooms where you're wanting to sleep, or actually a movie or a theater room, yeah, you want blackout shades.
Right.
For your living spaces, you want that natural light to be coming in, right? You want to be able to see during the day without having to have your lights on.
Can you do a dual where it's like?
You can.
So that would be, in some rooms, that'd be the go-to.
They would be the go-to. Now, the one thing to know with those, right, yep, can you afford? I'm not going to say that they're outrageously expensive.
But you're getting double the amount.
It's double the product.
Right.
And it sticks out of your window a good chunk more.
Ah, right.
So it's aesthetically, is that the best look?
Gotcha.
Now you do have things like cellular shades, which are not super popular. They look like honeycomb on the side. They were really popular for a long time, and now they've kind of phased back out.
Yeah.
But those, you can kind of dual them. So you can they do a top down, bottom up, or a day and night is what they call them. So like you have essentially two shades on one shade. So you have a little handle in the middle that kind of controls whether it's going to be blackout or light filtering.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
And it can go through your whole window. So that it's a cool product,
Yeah.
right? It's something not a lot of people do, but it's an option for you.
Yeah.
So I think that's
good advice.
Yeah.
That's good advice. Because I would have done what you did. It's just like, wow, why would I want blackout? I'm definitely, and then just make them all the same color and just go. Because to your point, then like, all right, I want to paint this room now, and then it's off.
Right.
Right. Yeah. Interesting.
I think another thing, real quick on that too. Just because you have a window doesn't mean that you have to cover it. Right. That's not something that a lot of window treatment people are going to tell you.
Right.
Is that you don't have to cover windows.
Yeah.
But if it's not beneficial to you in any reason, if there's not direct sunlight coming through that's going to fade your flooring or fade your furniture, and all it is a transom window, it's not in the bedroom, or maybe it's a door where you're looking out into nothing. You got a big spacious backyard. There's no reason to cover that. Why spend the money? You can always come back and buy it later.
Right.
Don't spend the money up front if you're not sure of it.
Yeah.
So I tell everybody that, when I'm out, it's like, hey, if you ask me, or if I have a check in, my spirit about it, I'll be like, hey, are you sure you want to cover this one? Like, I'm happy to do it for you, but are you sure?
Right.
Because I will come back and I'll give you the same pricing if you call me back 2 or 3 years from now.
Yeah.
Right? We might have had a price increase, but I'm still going to give you the same
This
pricing
window in the
structure that I
laundry
had.
room. Yeah.
We don't do the Kohl's markup to markdown method like a lot of people do.
Yeah.
Now, you're familiar with that, I'm sure,
yeah.
right? You go into Kohl's, everything's 40, 60% off.
Yeah.
It's not really 40 or 60%
It's
off.
original
They
price.
just, they just
They
make
mark
it
it
look
up.
a lot better.
Yeah.
So a lot of people in my space will do that. They'll mark up their product and then mark it down to make it look like you're getting a better deal.
Right.
If I'm giving you a discount on top of it,
That's a
I'm
legit
keeping the
discount.
original margin that the vendor gives me, and then I'm putting a legit discount on top of that.
Nice.
So, let's say you get a 5, 10, 15. 15 is the highest I've ever gone. So 5, 10, 15, depending on size of the job. And if you got, let's say you did, $40,000 worth of work with me, that's a huge job for us.
Yeah.
Give you 15% discount on that job. If you come back and you're like, hey, I want to do this one window, 3 years down the road, I'm going to go back and look at what you did with us before. I'm going to say, all right, I gave him 15% then, give you 15% now.
Nice.
Which is not something I'd normally do on one window.
Right.
But I'm going to do it for you because, you've already worked with me once, and why should I charge you more because you waited to
Nice.
do this window down the road?
So that's good advice too. Is like that one window in the laundry room. If you don't, you might not have to do it.
Right.
Just keep it uncovered. Well, dude, Josh, pleasure meeting you here at least. I think your business is super cool. I admire what you built and how you built it. Coming in as an hourly guy, working your way up, and then doing what it took to become the owner is like the American dream.
Yeah.
So just hats off to you. It's brave, it's courageous, and I know I'll be using you as soon as our app's out. Dude, thanks for coming in.
Yeah,
It was a
absolutely.
pleasure. It was a
Thank you
great
for having me.
conversation, man. Yeah.